Welcome to Getting There and Giving Back, the show that talks to high achievers about where they are, how they got there, and how they're using that position to give back. Our guest today is the director at Stan Johnson Company, which is one of the nation's leading commercial real estate brokerage and advisory firms, Michael Philbin. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, AJ. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for squeezing me into what must be an insane day. I'm looking at the different kinds of transactions you guys do: retail, office, healthcare. It goes on and on. Are your days insane?
They're very insane. And, really, we try to specialize in different categories within, even in that. I happen to be really specialized on the retail side. We got other guys that are very much focused in medical and as well as in office. And right now, net lease property, which is our overall focus, which means there's one tenant and they take care of everything as far as the landlord is concerned. So it's very hands-off investments, mostly dealing with private family trusts and helping them manage their long-term goals. But right now, that market is very, very hot because unfortunately, other sectors of the commercial real estate market has really taken a hit due to mostly due to COVID and other regulating factors in certain areas.
Sure, absolutely. Well, let's start with where you are, because now you're the director at this juggernaut of a company. They've completed $35 billion worth of transactions nationwide. Where did this journey begin? What attracted you into finance?
Well, it wasn't even necessarily finance. It was more sales. I started out in retail, working in a pool shop in high school, and learned how to kind of engage people face to face really early, and something that they didn't really seem to know a lot about. And to be honest, when I started out, didn't really seem to know a lot about either. And I think that's the case in most sales. But when I got to college, I went to San Diego State, and I happened to come across a classified ad for a cold calling position within a brokerage firm. And this was a asset management firm that actually an alumni of my fraternity was a part of. So I reached out to him and he got me in there. And this ended up being about, a month after 9/11. Wow. So I got on the phone and was calling basically for bonds and other kind of passive investments. And I learned how to take rejection very well, very early. And so moving forward from there, I heard about commercial real estate and felt that, I've done plenty of cold calling. I've been told many horrible things over the phone. So why not try it in a different arena? And I really liked it. I got in with Marcus and Millichap while I was still at San Diego State, junior year, working for an office guy down there who's still very, very successful down there. And he kind of showed me the ropes. And I just through being around the office really young and talking to a lot of guys, I learned that triple net was probably where I wanted to end up. And so bounced around to a couple of different firms. I most recently at CBRE up here in Los Angeles, but I felt that the culture and ultimately for net lease specifically, that Stan Johnson was the best place for me. So that's where I am now.
Is that one of the most important qualities to have when you're working in sales, is the ability to deal with the rejection that you mentioned? Or does that get that out of the way in 6 months?
I mean, obviously in the beginning, when you don't know what you're doing, it's going to be a lot more prevalent. When you're sitting there looking at a script and you sound like you're reading, it's probably not going to go over very well. So once you get really comfortable and start having that self-confidence and really not caring if they tell you to leave or to leave them alone or never call him again, that's just one guy. Move on to the next. And honestly, now when I'm calling, if somebody tells me to buzz off, I'm happy because then I don't have to deal with that guy ever again. Or I check back with them in a year. But it's funny, there's one day where somebody will tell you to buzz off, and then 2 weeks later, they don't even remember it. And you can end up, that guy's a lifetime client. It happens all the time. People have bad days. People just sometimes just don't want to be on the phone. And you can never take anything personally. And just, it's a Smilin and Dialin. And once you know more about what you're doing, and you can ask your questions, and most importantly, add value to what they want, then you end up seeing a lot of benefit and ultimately money by doing so.
Well, I'm not wired for sales at all, but I can relate to this. I was a stand-up comic for a while, and people would always say, "Oh my God, isn't it horrible when they don't laugh at your joke?" And you go, "I'm telling these jokes every night. If they laugh at them 9 times and then the 10th time they don't laugh, what are you going to do?
Oh, well.
Yeah, it's not as devastating at all. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the culture of your company. That isn't, and now we're already pivoting towards how you give back, because I think that's a form of giving back, is making sure the culture of a company is a great place for people to work. And Stan Johnson Company has actually been recognized 3 years in a row as one of the best workplaces in their state. Can you talk a little bit about how that's a priority for you guys?
Well, the main thing that makes this company different, and this really gets into the weeds as far as how brokerage firms are constructed internally and how the different brokers play among each other in the same firm. And every other national firm, you're thrown in there in front of a computer and a phone, and they say go. So there's nothing really else provided to you. You have to go and make all your calls and create your own database. Stan Johnson Company is the only one that I'm aware of, especially nationally, where there's a database already there and everybody uses the same one. So you have an honor system that's already being, practiced throughout.
Right.
So when you have that type of honor system, obviously there's a lot of trust. So when you're interviewing people to come into your company, and we don't hire newbies, we're looking at guys that or people that have already been at brokerage firms and have experience. If you can't play nice in the sandbox, you're probably not going to be the best fit for our company. So it's more of a trust and honor system, and just having character and being able to trust. And at the end of the day, if you're doing well enough and you're happy and where you are, you're going to be willing to help other people. If you're holding stuff back and you're hiding stuff and you're being cryptic and other stuff like that, that's going to shine through eventually. And you're probably not meant for this type of culture. And it's really about honesty and being on the forefront of everything.
I hear you. Well, they asked your employees in a survey which words they got most related to working for Stan Johnson Company. These were the words that came up: growth, flexibility, trust, opportunities, commitment, and encouraged. I was drawn to the word encouraged because we all know that other people want to be encouraged, but we've all worked at workplaces where that is not done at all. What do you guys do to make sure people feel encouraged?
Well, I think, and especially in the brokerage world, it's a very, very selfish world, and you eat what you kill. So a lot of people do not, take into consideration, the growth around you. The old saying is, why train them if they're just going to leave me? It's more train them so they can leave, but they don't, and treat them so that they don't. And so that's more so what this is about, is bringing in a junior as an analyst, learning that they understand how to underwrite and everything else, so that you can put them on the phone, they feel comfortable, and then they're successful, as opposed to hiring a guy saying, get on the phone, don't really train him, you're just hoping that he makes you some money. That's the difference, is really investing in other people, because guess what? If they do well and you treated them well, they're going to stay with you, and everybody does well. And I think that's the most important thing.
Absolutely. So what does giving back mean to you personally?
For me, it's really recognizing what you've been blessed with and acknowledging that other people may not have those same opportunities, and to, give back, I guess, basically give back and show acknowledgement of the blessings that you've had by trying to give those to other people. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
I was waiting for your next question. My apologies.
No problem. Are there specific causes or things that you're involved in that you're passionate about?
Over time, I did a lot of the Wounded Warriors. My family, on my father's side, every female since my grandmother, who has now passed away, has been a nurse at St. Jude's. So I had a very had a strong connection to them, and personally, especially with the Children's Cancer Network. I just think that's really, really important, the cancer research that they do. But my wife and I just recently have our first child back in the summer, and what she really got passionate about, and I'm big on now, and we are going to be moving down to San Diego, and we're looking at how we can get more involved there, is with more disadvantaged pregnant mothers and new mothers, and helping them out with the needs that they need early on. So that's really what we're trying. We started a little bit that here in LA, but since we're going to be moving down to San Diego once we get settled, that's really going to be the focus for us.
What inspired her initially, and then you to get involved in that?
I think it's just her experience of her own, and being real active. Obviously, with COVID going on, you didn't have a lot of your support groups live that you could do. So you have very vast social media, mommy and me and new mommy groups, and she's gotten very active in that. And I think she's been exposed to some more people in need, and we've gone from there basically, and
Yeah.
reaching out to those people and helping them.
Yeah. I mean, when you become a parent for the first time, you realize how hard it is under the best of circumstances.
Yeah.
And I can see how you can go, well, gosh, I can imagine doing this without some of the advantages we may have. Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, great stuff. I've got three quick questions that we end with. We'll tear through them. What's the best advice you were ever given?
Once you close a deal, you're out of business.
Okay. You got to expand on that to the non-sales guy.
Once you close a deal, that deal's done. So you better have had something else going on beforehand to have something else next coming. It basically means don't get complacent, is what it ultimately means. But I was told that early on in the business, and it still rings true every day. You can never get complacent. Once a deal's done, that one's gone. So you better have another one coming, or plenty others coming.
Got it. What's your favorite book in the whole wide world?
The Greatest Salesman in the World by Ogmandino.
It's in your DNA, isn't it? I love it. Is there a habit or a ritual that you would recommend that has made a difference in your life?
Well, I'd say sticking to because at the end of the day, this business all roots around really cold calling, especially on a national basis like I do it. Warm up, just like you go before you go shoot hoops or, go swimming or whatever. You do a little bit of stretching, you do whatever. Same thing on the phone. Call something you're familiar with, call somebody you're comfortable with, get your bad speech out of the way or whatever early in the morning, get that all out of the way. So then when you do get on to go after the people you're really trying to lock in, you got that out of your system already. So warm up just like you do in a sport.
Do you visualize like an athlete? Like an athlete visualizes their swing, you visualize the call going great?
You can't really do that because it can come from so many different angles. So I would say just don't have a script. Just be ready. That's the best way to go about it, and just know enough to where you can answer questions. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Good stuff. Well, thanks for taking the time to join us.
All right, thanks a lot, AJ.